Welcome to Coasting with Giants, a podcast all about the roller coaster enthusiast hobby and the people that are a part of the community. Come along with me, Fab the theme park giant, as I interview some of my friends that I've met along the way in this crazy hobby. Hey there, giant fans of fun. I'm Fab the theme park giant, and this is Coasting for Giants, a podcast all about the coaster enthusiast hobby and the enthusiasts that are part of it. I like to bring on my friends that I've met over the decades I've been in the hobby and just talk to them because there's a lot of really interesting people out there. There's a lot of just crazy coaster enthusiasts. Like if you listen to episode 2 with Rick, I mean, he's about as crazy as it gets. So we're going to tone it down a little bit here, bringing on my good buddy all the way from Australia, Aussie Steve. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on,
Honored to
man.
be honored to be on the third episode of Coasting with Giants, mate.
Absolutely. Glad you're the third guest. But yeah, so let's get right into it, Steve. Why don't you tell us about yourself and how you got into the hobby, and we'll just get going from there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm 46. So I was born in 78. Live in Adelaide, South Australia. So no theme parks, no coasters near me at all. Had a really good childhood, mate. Really lucky. And my auntie and uncle moved to Queensland when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. So that meant me, my mum, my dad, my brother used to travel to the Gold Coast probably twice a year when I was young. So we started doing SeaWorld, Dreamworld. So my first sort of looping coaster was a corkscrew at SeaWorld back when I was probably 5 or 6, and then the Thunderbolt, which is the old looper that was at Dreamworld. And then obviously Movie World got built. So that sort of got my love for theme parks going. And then luckily in 1986, I was 7 years old and we flew off to Disneyland. We did America. Um, cool memories. I still remember that trip, parts of it that like yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I was 7 years old. So that my first extreme coaster at 7 was probably Montezuma's at Knott's Berry.
Nice.
It was great, and it was good back then. We got the soapbox races, and we had all those older
Oh, you
rides.
got to do the soapbox racers?
Yeah, done the soapbox
Oh,
races. Yeah,
man. That's like one of those. I've never been on one of those like steeplechase types. So
yeah,
like it's
yeah. Well,
always
I haven't been to Blackpool, so yeah, yeah.
yep.
So that was '86. So I just got the bug then straight away. Then 1989, we went and did the East Coast. So did
Yep.
Disney World, Busch Gardens. So I was 9 years old then. Um, And so that was as a kid. And then as you do, you sort of go through your teenage years. As soon as I finished high school, so 98, I finished high school in 96. I saved up. Me and my brother went on a 3-month trip, went to the World Cup in France. That
What?
trip,
I never knew
yeah,
that.
went to the World. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
So, yeah. And I
France
guess I've got
won,
to talk
right?
about
France and Netherlands was the
They
final.
pretty
Is
sure they
that
did,
right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
I went to the England Romania game, and England actually lost 2-1. It was
Ooh.
fantastic. And I used to be in a Nintendo 64 hacking group called Moorship from the Underground. We're the biggest hacking group in the world on Nintendo, and I used to be I used to release Australian stuff. So I had friends in Germany and America. So in '98, I thought, you know what, we'll go catch up with one of the groups in Germany. We went to Phantasialand in 1998. Didn't know
Oh.
much about it.
I didn't know
Magic
you'd been
Park.
there.
Yeah, yeah. So 98,
How
we
did
did
I Could you tell
Phantasialand.
us that? Like cuz we went there
I don't know.
together back in
Yeah, well, I'm not sure
2016.
if I have. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we did Phantasialand. So the big new ride when I was at Phantasialand was that indoor drop tower that shoots you up.
Oh, okay. Yep.
You might have, I don't know if you've been on it because we might have been too large
I
back
was
in
too
that
big.
visit. Yeah, so next time
That
we'll
was
get
one of
on for
my
sure.
2 rides on that Europe trip we did. It
Yeah,
was that
yeah,
and
yeah,
Silver Star at Europa were the
yeah,
only 2 I got booted off. But yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
drop tower. Because Rick
yeah,
brought the drop tower up last episode. So why don't you guys
yeah,
keep bringing that memory up? Thanks.
yeah. And the only other theme park we did so we did a bit of a UK trip in that same tour, and I did Alton Towers in '98,
Oh, okay.
and Oblivion had just opened, first dive coaster in the world.
Dang.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, got to ride Nemesis and things like
Mhm.
that. That trip, we also, after Europe, my brother flew to the States, and we did Disneyland together again. We hadn't been for nearly 9 years, so I guess Splash Mountain and Indiana Jones were the two big additions since
Ooh,
we'd been there,
those are
which
two
is
big
two.
additions too.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Was Star
and
Tours there
then
your first time?
no, it wasn't. And Star
Oh,
Tours,
okay, okay.
which that sort of always forget about Star Tours because it's not up there with my favourite. But
Right, yeah.
and and we did Magic Mountain for the first time,
Mm.
which was great. So the new ride in '98 was Riddler's Revenge, the stand-up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So so that was '98, and started the addiction and got me going again. And since then, I've been traveling the world. I've ridden 830 coasters, 838 I count water. I've been to, let's have a look,
That's
four
not strict
continents.
count, you know.
Yeah, 4 continents, 17 countries, and 182 theme parks. So so I've always had a real love affair with the United States. So much my friends used to give me shit and call me a Yankee lover, and always loved the people. I've always had a great time there. I met my future ex-wife in America,
Yep.
Priscilla. We still love each other to death. We're good friends. Still
Yep.
see each other. And so did a bit of travel, and then we did our first sort of theme park group tour, and we met in 2012.
Yeah,
So
2012.
yeah,
Because you
and it's
guys
been
you guys did the Leviathan trip and then
yeah,
continued into the New Hotness trip with Theme Park
yeah,
Review, and that
yeah,
I only did the New Hotness, so I met all of you guys.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yep, I
yeah.
remember
So
I remember the time, like this exact moment where we basically became friends was El Toro
El
at
Toro, you were
Great
trying to get on.
Adventure,
Yeah,
because I was a bigger guy then and didn't get to ride it during the day. And then I just remember I was sitting there not riding, and Alyssa, LV, came over and she goes, "Oh, you're not riding?" I said, "Oh, I don't fit." And she goes, "Rob will get you on." And so Rob, the head of Theme Park Review, was trying to get me in the test seat, and I remember you came out and you're like, "Hey, I got to go to the bathroom, but when I get back, I'll help." And you came back, and like you and Rob were pushing, you got me on, and then you got me on the actual ride, so I got like two
yeah,
or three rides on El Toro, and that
yeah.
was a life-changing
And I
event.
remember
So
at the end of every ride, we were in the RT. They'd lift the restraints every ride, so I'd have to get out my seat, run to yours, we'll
yeah.
jam you in, jump back in the seat,
Yep.
and off we went again.
Yep.
Yeah, and So, and a great friendship started from there. And of course, we've done Europe together, Japan together,
Yeah.
Scandinavia together,
Yep.
Europe, US.
Oh yeah, we've
You're at my
been.
wedding.
Yep.
You're at
Came to
the
your
Disney
wedding here
wedding.
at Disney World, where
Yeah,
when I lived in Iowa and now I live here, but it would have been a lot easier
yeah,
if I was in Orlando at
yeah,
the time. But
yeah.
yeah, because we had your wedding and then Scandinavia like 2 weeks later. I
Yeah, that
remember
was our
because
honeymoon.
I
Yeah,
had a crazy month. I had your wedding here. One of my best friends got married in Cabo the next week because remember I had to leave. I could only do your
yeah,
wedding like 3 days or whatever because I had to go to Cabo, and then I was going to Scandinavia like the next week, and it was like I sound like Rick traveling around basically. Like, but
yeah,
I typically don't go to three big trips like that in like 3 weeks, but
yeah,
that was a different
yeah,
time. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that was '98. Then '99, my mate Jeff in Tampa. We met through the Nintendo 64 scene, and my best boy Jason down in Ohio, Toledo. So that was just fate, Like I've got Jeff who lives in right near Orlando, so I was visiting him,
Yep.
and then my mate Jason is like,
An
so I
hour
used to go with that
hour from Cedar Point.
from Cedar Point, yeah, because I used to go to. So me and Jason and a group, we used to go, even though we were illegal Nintendo 64 pirates, we used to go to E3's media every year. We used to have media passes for E3. So so 99, 2000, we went to E3, and then I'd go and do a coaster trip afterwards. And Look, I've spent over 2 years of my life in the States now.
How did I know
All my
you went
trips
to
there.
E3? How do I not know these things? Like, how have we not
Yeah,
talked about these things? Because
Jay Leno.
I'm an old gamer too. Like that was one of the things
Yeah,
we talked about early on somehow.
yeah. So
Because you told me all about Spongy and then 64
yeah,
emulators and
it was
all that
great.
stuff. But
Back then, it was a really big event. I met Tony Hawk, Jay Leno, Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, Booker T, Jerry Lawler.
Booker T.
It was amazing. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's about 15 of us from all around the world all in this. Yeah, so and I lived in the States for 6 months when obviously I had Priscilla as my fiance. So, but I spent over 2 years of my life in the US just on trips and stuff. And yeah, I'm heading back in October.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so that
I was
sort of
with
happened.
RD
And
today, and he actually said, "Oh, isn't Steve coming on a big trip here in a few
yeah,
months?" I
yeah,
said, "Yeah, yeah." He let me
I've
know
got
he's
a
coming
big
in
year ahead.
October. So
Yeah, yeah. So that's basically how it all started, mate. And it's pretty much just gone from there. Um, I used to have a business where we'd manufacture kitchens, quite a large business, which we unfortunately lost back in 2019. Had some really hard years there, 5, 6 years. And then, as you know, I had a stroke
yep,
2.5 years ago. So
yep,
I had an arterial dissection. So I've been in America on a coaster trip in July 2022. Did about 115 coasters that trip. Was home 2 weeks and had a major stroke. And yeah, a bit like you, we've both faced life-threatening illnesses in our lives. And
yep,
yeah, it sort of changed my outlook a bit on life. And from that, I'm just lucky I had good insurance, and I'm now retired
yeah,
at 46. So financially, I'm in a good position, and yeah, just lucky to be here and just starting to do stuff on my bucket list. And yeah,
yeah. And
just
now you
yeah,
transitioned more
just
into
appreciate it, man.
the haunt thing. Like
Yes.
last October, he
So
came to the
with the
states and did weeks and weeks of haunts all over the country since he can't ride as many roller
yeah,
coasters as he used to. So he's kind of turned
yeah,
that
and
into
as Dad
his
knows,
traveling little hobby.
yeah, I've
So
always been a ghost train, dark ride, love that sort of stuff. And if there was a shitty coaster and a shitty dark ride, I'd take the shitty dark ride any day of the week. So,
yeah.
um, yeah.
Well,
So,
you
with
admittedly
with
are
the stroke
probably the reason I'm more into haunts because I hated them. I wouldn't do
now,
them,
yeah,
and like I just
yeah,
have never
yeah,
liked horror movies. I'm not a big jump scare guy or whatever, and I'd always kind of do that Irish goodbye when we'd be at a park and there'd be a haunt that you guys were gonna do. I'd always kind of disappear. Uh, and now, like, I
yeah,
go to
yeah,
HHN, I go to, I go to SeaWorld and Busch Gardens events. Like, I love them now. So, like, you were the
yeah,
reason
yeah.
that I'm more into that stuff. So I do appreciate that.
No,
I
it's
am
so
not
much
at your
fun.
level.
Yeah,
Like, there's no chance I'm gonna go do a month long trip
yeah,
of them. And some of the ones you go to are
yeah,
insane, and I have no desire to go to
yeah.
those either. Like the cattle
Yeah. So with
prod
the stroke,
welts that you
you know
guys
that
showed up with last year was a
there's
little bit much, but yeah,
yeah, that was pretty full on. Yeah, yeah. So the stroke, they couldn't say what caused it, but uh, probably roller coasters because I dissected the artery in the back of my neck. So yeah, like it's very. I get nervous. I'll be honest. So I don't run anything that's rough. No more SLCs. I don't do kiddie coasters anymore.
yeah,
I just like to travel now. Do the theme parks. I'll do the nice new coasters that are smooth and that, but it's normally one and done now.
yeah.
Because yeah,
I
it's in the back of your mind, mate.
oh, I mean, I get it. I'd be scared. I mean,
Yeah,
like I was
yeah,
surprised
and
last year when you came and we were at Bush and you're like, I'm gonna ride Gwazi and Montu, and I'm like, so, so you don't ride many coasters anymore, but you're gonna go ride the two most intense rides in Florida,
yeah,
probably.
yeah,
Like,
if, yeah, yeah. No, if
but
they're smooth, as long as they're smooth and I'm not head banging, that's pretty much it.
that makes sense.
Apart from that, man, I go to yeah. So basically, you go to concerts. I travel, and I've got 12 pinball machines. I'm riding a pinball now. I play pinball every day. Living the dream, man. I'm just glad to be here and just trying to live life to the max. And I've got a massive year plan, man. I've got in the position where I can take my parents to Europe, all expenses paid. So we're doing that in May. We're doing a week in France.
Nice.
Then we're doing an 11-day Mediterranean cruise. Then I'm back to Europe 3 weeks later for 4 weeks with AJ, my
Oh,
good friend in
nice.
Holland who we travel with,
Very nice.
and doing, doing a few Holland parks, doing Leesburg, Europa, Phantasialand, Dusseldorf, Rheinkulm, holiday park trips. Drill. We're doing Zermatt. We're doing the Glacier Express. We're going to Poland. So, and then back, and then October I'll be over to repeat last year, do some
Yeah.
haunts, New York City, and
Have you been to the
last
Matterhorn
year I
before?
flew.
Zermatt?
No, I haven't. All
No. Oh,
new.
that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. I got to go
Only
there
been to the
when I
one.
was like
Only the one.
17.
I'm sure it's. I'm sure it's nowhere near as good as the one at Disneyland, but it's okay. We'll give it a shot.
It's definitely not as good of a roller coaster, but the views are a lot better. So it's
Yeah,
and taking
yeah,
the cable car up to it is always a treat. So yeah, but
yeah, yeah.
make sure you
So that's
dress warm. I
basically
was
yeah.
there
That's
in
my,
late June, and there was snow on the ground, and I was not prepared for that. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But yeah, so no kids, which is always handy when you're in this hobby and traveling by choice. Um, I married a girlfriend, Samba Priscilla, who everyone knows. Didn't work out. We're together 16 years, but she lives in Australia, in Adelaide. We see each other, and yeah, we get along really well. Catch up
yep,
for dinner, and we've both got new partners, and yeah, life is good.
yep. And luckily, I get to keep both of you as friends. I didn't have to choose
That's right.
in the
Yeah,
divorce. You guys were cool with not making me choose
yeah,
sides, so because you would have been out.
yeah.
Sorry, no.
That's understandable. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good intro to who Steve is and how he got into all this. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to get more into some of his favorite rides and parks. And we'll go from there. This is Coasting with Giants. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Coasting with Giants. I'm Fab the Theme Park Giant. Got my friend Aussie Steve here, all the way from Adelaide, South Australia. Did I get that right? That's what that
Spot on,
essay
mate.
means, right? But
Yep.
we went through his past, his history, how we kind of met and got into the hobby together. But this next segment, we usually like to dive in a little deeper, talk about some of your favorite rides, whether it's wood or steel, doesn't even matter. Some people have a preference on that. And then some of your favorite parks. So we'll just let you run with it.
Alrighty. So, look, I don't even have a top 10 list. I'm not much of a nerd these days, but I've got my favorites. So, Steel Vengeance is number one for me.
Yeah, me too.
Just, I love intense rides. I love, yeah,
It
the
doesn't
more
get
it
much
can
more intense
try and
than
steer.
that thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it just
crazy.
bolts to the wall.
Like I always say that even though it's my favorite, like that's one I can only do 3 or 4 rides, like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
so intense. And like my thighs are
yeah,
just eviscerated after a couple of rides on that thing.
yeah,
So no, but man,
yeah,
it's just pure perfection for coaster nerds.
yeah. And Maverick, love Maverick. So the
Yep,
1-2 punch right there is,
yep. And those are both at Cedar Point. I always try to
yeah,
fill in people if they're
yeah,
Steel Vengeance and Maverick come up every episode, I feel like, so we're always talking
yeah,
about Cedar Point. But man, it's
yeah,
about as good of a 1-2 punch as you're ever gonna find. I mean, it's
yeah,
hard to beat
yeah.
because those are both top 5 steel for
Um,
me.
yeah. What else? I'll go more on experiences. So a lot of the time depends when I ride it and who I'm riding it with. So you have these memorable experiences.
Hmm.
So Helix,
Yep,
I've only been to Leesburg once, and that was in 2014. I've ridden a lot of coasters since, but that was just an epic night.
that
We had ERT.
that
Um,
was
it,
one of the most fun. Just that Joe and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago when we did the first episode, but that day at Leesburg, so it's in Gothenburg, Sweden, amazing park. I think that's the best day I've ever had at a park. Like we had
yeah,
so much fun that day, like from start to finish. Like we were just laughing all day. Like all the rides are
oh,
great, everything there, the food's great, everything's awesome at that park, and we just
yeah,
had an amazing day on top of ERT on Balder, this incredible
yeah,
Woody, and then night ERT on Helix for 2 hours, which was
Yeah,
brand new that
and
year. And just, I mean, you talk about 1-2 punches. Also, Balder
yeah,
and
yeah,
Helix are right
yeah,
up there. But yeah, that
and
I love that park. Oh,
yeah, I was high as that day too. We had edibles, so AC had the edibles.
I
He goes,
I
here's your honeymoon
mentioned we'd
present.
had a little to drink and maybe some other things that day in the past, but you just went
Yeah,
right to it.
it's all
I might need to
legal
mark
these
that
days.
time in the show here. Hold on a second, 3.5 minutes. Just might need to blurp one of those words out. But no, that was that. Yeah, that day was
Yeah,
awesome.
I remember riding. I can't even. What's the banana Leesen, the one
Oh,
that the Schwarzkopf?
yeah, the Lisa Berger Bonnen or whatever. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
I
Schwarzkopf
remember
like
just being
mine
on that ride.
train, but that thing is incredible. And like, I just remember
Oh, I love it.
laughing
So,
hysterically on it because it does like all those helixes, and Joe and I were
yeah,
just laughing so hard. Oh my god! I mean,
yeah, that was
that
just
was
a fun
partially
day.
the edibles, but that yeah, that was quite a day.
Yeah. Um, other Guardians, only been on it a few times, but just
Yeah,
people,
Guardians of the Galaxy
just
here
the
at
fun.
Epcot in
Yeah,
Orlando. $500
yeah,
million
just the ride
roller
experience.
coaster. Just incredible. Worth
Yeah,
every dollar.
just
Every dollar. Well,
yeah.
I always say,
Um,
like, I don't know how to rank that one. Like, that's like the mystery ride for me because I love it so
yeah,
much, but I never think of it in my like top 10 roller coasters. But
yeah,
if I had to pick like 10 rides, like, that's
it's
probably
going to
on
be in
my
it.
top
Yeah,
10. If you told me I could never ride
yeah,
Guardians again, I'd be really sad. Like, it's such a great
yeah,
ride.
yeah. So
Well, I
yeah,
remember you and
I
Rick
love
were
it.
the two that told me after you'd been on it because you guys rode it before I did because I was still
Yeah,
living in Iowa then. But you both said like it's the most fun roller coaster I've ever been on, and knowing people with such high counts as that, we get a little jaded, and like to hear everyone basically say it's so fun like that just I couldn't wait to ride it. So and it is fun, but so Guardians.
the 4D coasters, love them. X2, the one in Japan, Iggy Janitor, whatever it's called, Elegini Ika. And then I've lucky enough, I've been to China, so I've done the
Mm,
4D in China at Dinosaur Dino Lamb, whatever it's called. And yeah, they're all pretty similar, but
I've
yeah,
never
love
been
them.
on one.
A lot of people hate them. You haven't been on X2?
No, 0 for 2 when it's been closed both times I've been to Magic Mountain. Really bad luck
Yeah,
with it.
no, a lot of people hate them. I love them. I've got a soft spot for the Beast. Um, I rode it back in 2000, I think. Um, I got off the Beast one ride, and my nephew had been born. We had the message.
Mm,
So always sort of associate, um, you
nice little
know,
memory.
nice memory. Yeah. El Toro.
I'm on board with El Toro. Not as much the
Yeah,
Beast, but
yeah. And I tell you what, I love Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens.
yeah. Yep. Uh,
Yeah,
El Toro is at Six Flags in New Jersey. Wooden coaster for many years was number one ranked like in every poll. I mean, and
yeah,
for a long time
yeah,
it was my number one because it is
yeah,
amazing. And then, like he
yeah,
said, Iron Gwazi down here at Busch Gardens in Tampa. That's an
yeah,
RMC hybrid coaster. Used to be two dueling wooden coasters, and they took the wooden foundation and they put steel track on it, and it's crazy. I do love Iron
yeah,
Gwazi.
yeah,
It's like Iron Gwazi though, like it's funny living down here when I run into enthusiasts I don't really know at like a annual pass holder event or something. I'll get talking to them in line. A lot of people Gwazi's their number one. Like,
yeah,
and they've been on Steel Vengeance, and they're like, I don't get why
yeah,
people love Steel Vengeance. And like, my thing is, I love Gwazi, but it's like half of Steel Vengeance. Like, it just
yeah. Well,
you
Steel
have
Vengeance
so
is one
much
ride.
speed at the end of that ride,
Yeah,
and it's like I think it was Sean that used to always say he's like you can tell where they ran out of money, like because it
yeah,
just ends. I mean, it's crazy.
and
That thing's wild, and then
yeah,
it just slams into the brakes, and you're like, oh, we could have done another. couple thousand feet with that thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
I love Iron Gwazi, no doubt. But
yeah.
it doesn't
The
exist.
last two, I'll go with Velocicoaster at Islands Adventure,
Nice.
and I've got to go with Taron at Fantasyland. Once again, just
Mm.
last
Yeah,
couple of times I've been there.
we share a lot of our favorite coasters, definitely. Because
Yeah,
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 Velocicoaster is my number two. I love Terran.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Terran's just kind of fallen over the years because I haven't been on it again
yeah.
since
That's
we got two
yeah.
rides
So I've
on it when
been
we went, but I
yeah.
know if I rode
So I've
that
been
more
back.
often, that thing would be higher on my list, definitely.
Yeah. So I've been back twice since I went back again, and then I went.
Mm.
So I had a business trip with when we had the business in Germany, and I took my dad to Fantasyland,
Oh,
and
I
he
remember
rode
that.
Taron. Yeah, which was really cool. He had cancer at the time, and it's like, let's just fucking do it, and away we
Yep.
went. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that'd be coasters, parks.
It's a
Man, I
solid
love all.
list. I can't argue with it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Parks. I just love all things Disney. I've been to all the Disney parks. We all like to bitch and moan about them, how expensive they are, and but just get on a plane, go to Japan. It's so much cheaper.
right.
Parks are amazing.
What's
Um,
your I'm pretty sure I know, but what's your favorite of the Disney resort of all the around the world?
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Japan, and I still love the original Disneyland. It's always going to have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, you
Um,
went there first, so that
86.
I
Yeah,
feel
so
like
they've got
I
those.
feel like the U.S. parks. It's whichever one you went to first. Because I grew up
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
here. I didn't go to
yeah,
Disneyland till I was like 20. I was out of college. I remember because I went out to see
yeah,
Yoshi and another friend that lived in L.A. at the time, and that was the first time I went. And I'd been here probably 15, 16 times by then. So like
yeah,
I'm definitely a Disney World guy, but like Disneyland has its charm, no doubt.
yeah,
And I totally agree. Tokyo is,
yeah,
I mean, I haven't done
yeah.
Shanghai or Hong Kong yet, but I've done
Shanghai
Paris.
was awesome. So I was there in
Yeah, Shanghai looks
20,
amazing.
yeah, 2016, I think I was there just after Christmas,
Mm,
2016 or 2017, one of the two. Yeah, loved it. Yeah, it
yeah,
was quiet.
yeah.
Pirates,
We did Tokyo
just,
together years ago.
yeah,
That was
yeah. Pirates at Shanghai is just, it,
one
it,
one of
you
my
know how
big
disappointed I was.
regrets as a nerd is watching that ride POV. Like I
Yeah,
wish I hadn't. Because
yeah.
now, even though I haven't watched it in a long time, I remember enough to
Still
where
won't
it'll
compare,
ruin
yeah,
things. But that thing
yeah,
just because that's not your standard Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
yeah.
That thing
But we'll
is
have to.
insane.
China's a trip where we need to get a few of us and just go to Shanghai, go to Beijing, do Universal.
Yep.
I did a couple of the Happy Valley parks and stuff, and
Hmm.
the culture. I love China. People hate China. It's very pushy, shovey. But that's what it is. These people aren't. That's how they live their life. So that's the mentality, and
It's part of
yeah, I
traveling.
can
You
get
learn
on
about
board.
other cultures.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
as an
Europeans can be.
American, I can't really point my finger at rude tourists from other places because
Yeah, yeah,
we're pretty high on that list. But I will say
yeah,
that trip we did to Japan, we ran into enough Chinese people where I learned a lot about the pushing and the shoving and
yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
So it was
yeah,
very eye opening because, like I always say, before that trip, I didn't know the difference between like
yeah,
Japanese people and Chinese people, and now I know like
yeah,
pretty quickly.
yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
obvious. But
And then Europe, I got Fantasyland, uh, Europa,
okay, both in Germany.
and
Yep.
Leesburg. That'll be my three.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll be doing all those three again in May, so it'll be a good refresher.
Yep. Yeah, I'm Phantasialand. I always call it Phantasialand. Phantasialand is my number one Europe. Lees
Fantasyland.
Leesburg is two, and then I put Efteling
Yep.
three.
Yeah, and Efteling. Yeah, I love
I'm
Efteling.
not.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Europa guy. I know I'm kind of
yeah,
on an island on that one, but I wasn't
yeah.
super blown away by that place. Maybe I was just tired. That was the end of our three
I love
weeks.
the I love the dark rides there, and yeah, I love the
Yeah,
Arth. Is it Arthur?
Arthur is amazing. That is
Yep.
one of the 5 best dark rides I've been on in my life, probably
Yep.
top 3. It's incredible. And that was my big takeaway from that park was Arthur is
Yep.
a crown jewel. And then I just think a lot of it's a lot of quantity. I don't know. And it's
Yeah.
just it's a
Well,
cheap Disney ripoff. Like
yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
thing. It just reminds me of a cheap Disney World. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
We've got a day there coming up, and I'll probably only ride 6 coasters. I'll probably just the ones that are
Yeah,
unique and I really
their
like.
coaster lineup doesn't
Yeah.
blow me away. Like
No, it
Woodan
doesn't.
was
Yeah.
fine. I like Blue Helix, but like yeah, Arthur
Yeah.
to me was the best ride there, far and away.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah.
Voltron looks pretty awesome, and like Sean's been on that. He loved it, so I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
Blue
good.
Fire's there, and yeah.
Yeah, Blue
Yep.
Fire is great. 'Cause that's we were talking about Helix earlier. That's the precursor to
Yep.
Helix because Helix code name
Yep.
was Green Fire for those nerds out there like us. But yeah, those are things I learned from Pontius when I was at Leesburg on my own, and he was walking me around as my own VIP tour guide. He was showing me
Yeah.
all this stuff. So because I never knew Helix was supposed to be a hypercoaster originally.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was showing me plans and stuff. Like it was supposed to have a huge drop off that hill and stuff, but they couldn't get approval for
Yep.
it to be that tall.
Yep.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been pretty crazy. And I trust that guy telling me that. That's not just some dork on the internet saying stuff. So, but
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Any,
that'll be my parks and
all right.
coasters. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a perfect little 15-minute segment. You're just knocking it out of the park,
Yep.
Steve, keeping me on task here. So, all right, we're going to
Just
take
call
another.
me theme park operation government efficiency of theme park giant.
Oh,
We're going to
let's not
slash.
do. Let's not do
We're
that.
slashing half.
Let's not get into this. This is a roller coaster theme park show, and you're an Australian, so you don't care about
Yeah.
any of that stuff. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk more about some of Steve's favorite trips he's done and more of trips he's got planned in the future. We kind of touched on that, but we'll go a little deeper into that. So we'll be right back. This is Coasting with Giants. Welcome back to Coasting with Giants. I'm Fab the Theme Park Giant, and I've got my buddy Aussie Steve here sharing his coaster enthusiast story, origin, I guess, like a superhero. But we've talked about how he got into this hobby, some of his favorite rides and parks around the world that he's been to, and now we're going to talk about some of his favorite trips that he's done. He's kind of mentioned a few crazy ones he's gone on, like with his brother for 3 months to Europe and things like that. But tell us about some of your favorite trips, Steve.
In no particular order, Scandinavia. That was just
Yeah.
that was 2014. That was our honeymoon for me and Chris, and it was a big trip. There's a lot of people, a lot of drama for some, but there was no drama for us. We had a ball,
Nah.
and
Yeah, that
yeah.
was so we used to do trips with Theme Park Review, and the 2014 Scandinavia trip was with Theme Park Review. 100 people, 2 buses going around for 3
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah,
And I do agree it's either that or our Europe trip for me. That we
yeah.
did.
You know, so you're,
Those Scandi was
yeah,
incredible though. Like yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I had no desire to ever go to Scandinavia. Like and then everyone just kept saying, "Oh, a Theme Park Review ever goes to Scandinavia, you got to go. It's the best trip."
good,
And
yeah,
luckily, we'd all
yeah,
met and decided, "Yeah, all right, we're going to
yeah,
do it." And man, it was awesome. Yeah. I love
yeah,
and like I've been back to Sweden now. Like I love Scandinavia.
yeah,
It's incredible.
yeah.
So,
And it
yeah.
wasn't just the parks; it was a good group. That's where I met AJ.
Yep.
We met a bunch of people on that trip, and I got lifelong friends from the hobby. So that's probably the biggest positive that comes out of it, I guess.
Yeah, that
Um,
one, usually you break off, like a group of 4, 8, maybe eight's the
yeah,
biggest you'll get, and we'd usually have 8 was our minimum. We typically
yeah,
had
yeah,
8 12, 16 people walking around together, and like I'm
Yeah.
good friends with all of them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome trip. Just the right
Yeah.
people, the right trip, the right parks, just it all came together. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
2016, the Europe trip. So that was me, you, Priscilla, AJ, Ricky, and Uncle Keith.
Yep.
So that was
Uncle Keith.
just the quality of parks we hit on that trip. We weren't
Yeah.
rushed. As much to Rick and Keith's dismay, we're basically one park a day mostly.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, Rick and
and
Keith
we
are the
really,
real coaster horrors of that friend group. So
yeah,
they tend
yeah,
to travel a little differently than us. So they
yeah,
went along with our pace, which was nice. Cause yeah, we're more
yeah.
we want to enjoy the full
Ride
park.
all the
It's not
rides.
just a
Yeah,
credit
yeah,
run. We want to ride dark rides. We want to ride everything
yeah.
and just see
Like
what's going
I
on.
ride the carousel at every park. So I really, I don't just like going on a coaster. To me, it's just about, the experience of the park, and especially when I've got to travel to go to any decent park um, near me. So, and then all my Japan trips, probably
Mm,
not as a theme park trip. Um, let's be honest, the parks are mostly pretty average.
yeah.
Universal's great, Disney's great.
Outside of Disney
But
Universal, I mean,
yeah,
and
the
I haven't
parks
done
are
Mount
shit.
Fuji. Spa Land's fine. I had a
Thailand's
bad
right. I
day
was
there
there.
because I was so fat, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
Japan's
no,
pretty rough. That was the fattest I've been on a
yeah,
coaster trip, and I chose to
yeah,
do it
yeah.
in like the smallest country, so it was
Yeah,
not good timing on that one. But
yeah.
I left like I counted the one time. I think I left about 40 credits on the board on that
Yeah,
trip.
yeah.
So yeah, because
Well,
it's a lot
even
of them
as
haven't been touched since
a
the
big,
'80s. It's a lot of old arrows
even,
and like just
realistically, even if you weren't overweight, then Thad, there's still just because of the sheer how hot
oh
tall you are, there's still rides you don't want to get on anyway.
well.
You could be bloody beanstalk and you wouldn't get on some of them.
What's that one? Big Boom. Has like that near vertical drop.
Yeah,
But like that, I don't think I could get in that with my legs,
yeah,
even if I
yeah,
was like now. I don't think I could ride it.
yeah,
I just remember that one
yeah,
specifically because I think they actually cleared me to ride that one, and I was like, I don't think I want to. I think I actually got off
yeah,
that one
yeah,
because
yeah,
with that drop, I was like, this could really hurt,
yeah, yeah,
because that one was actually like a legit roller coaster. But
yeah.
yeah,
But
I agree with you on
Japan's
Japan that I went to Japan
awesome.
more for Japan,
Yeah,
and we went with theme. When we went, it was with Theme Park Review in 2015. I know you've gone to Japan quite a few times, being a little
yeah,
closer in
yeah. I've had
Australia. But
four trips there. Yeah, and like the last trip I was there a couple of years ago, I did Disney, Universal. I think that
hmm,
was the only parts I did. McCracken was shooting off. He was holding it up. But yeah, we were just just there to just
well,
the
and like the
culture and the people.
Universal in Japan is incredible too. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's in a funny state at the moment. Jurassic Park was closed. Spider Man was closed.
oh
Space Fantasy's gone. So they've got
yep,
three. I think Jurassic Park, they're just updating, so it's like the one at Universal Hollywood, which is great. Last time I rode it, um, Spider Man, but we all know that's gonna become something else, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens down there. Yeah,
hmm,
but it is a great park. Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
got the original
nice.
Jaws. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I man, Jaws is so good. I wish we still
yeah,
had Jaws
and
here in
Jaws is like the
Orlando.
number one movie.
Such
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
ride. And especially in Japan when you have like the Japanese tour guide of your boat, like screaming in Japanese and like shooting a grenade launcher off. It's the funniest thing. Like, because it's always like a
it's the
tiny
only ride.
girl. It's like a tiny woman like driving the boat and like shooting off a grenade launcher.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, they're great. The skippers in Japan are just hilarious. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Um, and upcoming trips, like I said, I've got a Europe trip with the parents. The only park I'll do on that trip is the one in Paris, the Garden Janier.
Oh,
The that really old one in the city park in the middle of Paris there. It's got a
No
bunch
idea.
of bordering
I
on
know.
kiddie credits.
I know Park Asterix and then Disneyland Paris, but
Yeah, this is just a city park. I'm not doing anything else. I'm with the parents. We're going to drive around France for a week and do a cruise.
yeah.
Then I'll be back in June, July with AJ. So flying into Amsterdam. I'm taking the missus along for a little bit. She's got to come back for the kids. So and even we're a week in Holland. We're only doing Efteling, Plopsa. That's what we're doing in Holland. Not even doing Wallaby, even though it's got the new dueling single rail. Just
Oh,
and then we're flying to then we're going to Leesburg, flying over there, train to Copenhagen, do Tivoli.
oh, nice.
Then Nico's flying home. Then me and AJ are going to go to Poland, which is a new country. We've got 4 nights there, so we'll do Energylandia and Legendia.
Nice.
Couple days of sightseeing,
So
and then we
a
do
lot of people may, like, if some of my friends that aren't into coasters are watching this or whatever, if you're like Energylandia in Poland, you've probably never heard of, but it is, what is it, like 10 years old, if that.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that.
But they built like 18 roller coasters. Like a lot of them are huge. Like it's basically Cedar Point or Magic Mountain in Poland, and they've got the RMC Zadra that looks incredible. They've got
big
the
hike,
Vekoma,
the big Intamin,
Hyperion. Yeah, Hyperion. That's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, that park looks incredible. Everyone I know that's gone has loved Zadra and Hyperion. So
they do fast pass. They do fast pass now, so that's going to be a bonus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
One, and
so
I heard Poland's a cool country. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we've got 4 nights in Krakow. So
nice.
And then we've got the Glacier Express up to Zermatt. Got a couple nights in a nice, really nice hotel up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a car and we do Europa, Tripsdrill Holiday Park, and then Düsseldorf Kermies. And we've got, I think there's 6 more Dutchmen catching the train to meet us there.
So you're catching the Rhine River Fair?
Yeah.
We did? That's awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah, so we'll do that again. And then I'm off to AJ's home, and I've got a good mate of mine that I went to high school with who just married a Irish lass, and he's in Ireland. So I've got 4 nights in Ireland. So we'll do Emerald Park and then a bit of sightseeing.
Nice.
And I don't, as you know, I don't drink anymore, so I've got an island. I might have one Guinness. See how we go.
Yeah, you gotta probably have one, right?
Yeah,
because you're not like sober like I am, so you gotta treat yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, and then come back. Then I try a repeat of last year. So last year I flew into Miami in October. And I caught the train, which is amazing, the Bright Line train. If you're ever in Miami, you need to get to Orlando. The train was fantastic. And met up with Fad, had Halloween Horror Nights, I think it was the following night or that night. And one of those, you call them a cyclone over there? Or
what's that? No.
What do you call them, cyclones?
Hurricane?
And the hurricane, yeah. So I had the hurricane hit, forget the name of it.
That was the one that didn't really hit.
It was the first one. Yeah,
it wasn't Milton. Milton was the bad one. I can't think of what the other one was, but yeah.
So it was only in Orlando.
They canceled everything, and then it was like it didn't even rain, and like it was like a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and it was like, so we just sat here and watched TV. Everything closed, then, which is rare too. I mean, they don't usually close things around here unless they really think it's going to happen, and it completely missed Orlando. So, I'm okay with that too. But
so this trip would be that. Obviously, Epic Universe. I want to try and spend 2 days there.
Yep.
And off on haunts. So I'm gonna head up to the Chicago Pinball Expo, which is the biggest in the world. So I've got 2 days there. So that's another bucket list. Yep. My mum's flying over and meeting me in New York. I'm going to do some Broadway shows. She's going to come on a 4-day road trip doing haunts with me. She's in her 70s. She did Halloween Horror Nights a while back and absolutely loved it with my
Oh,
dad. So
nice.
yeah, so we'll see how we go. Yeah,
That'll be a
and then we're
fun
going to
trip.
Salt Lake. Yeah, yeah. Then we're finishing in Salt Lake City. I was taking my mum up there and for a bit of nature, and they've also got some of the best haunts in America, so I'm heading them up as well. So
I
yeah,
had
and
no
then
idea Salt Lake had great haunts.
yeah, they got some
I
really good
just know
haunts. So,
Lagoon, and that's it for things like that.
yeah, I did Lagoon a few years back. That was fun. It's probably the only park I've ever done by myself. I was solo that day and really had a good time. So the
Well, I
only
always think of
coaster I didn't get.
Lagoon because we were going to maybe meet there in 2020 before the world fell apart. Uh, we talked about meeting up. You were going to come to Des Moines. We were going to come down here because Iron Gwazi was going to open, and then none of it happened. So
What happened?
yeah,
Yeah. And then the one
I
I'm
just saw
really
it
actually
today was the
excited.
5 year anniversary of the NBA calling their season off, and that was kind of the
Really?
official like COVID is real. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the
And then I guess the other one that's exciting next February, March, me, mum, dad, and my partner are going to Africa for a safari, luxury safari. So
oh
can't wait. Yeah. So we're doing 4 nights in the Kruger, 3 nights in Cape Town, and then a few nights up at Victoria Falls in a luxury safari. So yeah, another bucket list item. Trying to do as much with my parents as I can. As you know, I travel with my mum. I'm a mama's boy. I love my parents. They've taken care of me through some hard times, and yeah, it's nice to be able to
no.
repay all that kindness back. And yeah,
Well, you're never going to regret traveling with your parents.
no,
In 20
you know,
years, you're not going to look back and be like, well, I wish I wouldn't have wasted the money taking mom to New York.
exactly. So
So
yeah,
no, that's
yeah,
awesome that you can do that. But
yeah. So yeah, so I got a big year ahead. Three overseas trips. Bit of a worry because since the stroke, I've got Wallenberg syndrome. It's in my right side, so I get a lot of temperature sensation, just uneasy feelings.
mm,
But I hide it pretty well, and I've got full strength. Yeah, it was
I
scary.
just,
I thought I'd
I
never
just
walk
always
again. When I,
notice like at the end of a trip now, or even like last year, not this, not this last year, but the year before when you came, because you've been in California for like a week or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and like your leg is just bruised up because
yeah,
like you can't
smash, yeah,
feel it's getting
yeah,
smashed on a ride or something.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah, but yeah. So, but I'm here, so yeah, life's good, man. Just It's just a reminder to try and do as much as you can while we're here, and here for a short time. So, yeah. And I never
absolutely.
needed an excuse to travel, but now I've definitely got one.
Yeah, I mean, you've always been one of the bigger travelers I knew to begin with, and
Yeah,
now
yeah,
with
yeah,
your newfound freedom and
yeah,
being able
yeah.
to
So,
retire, you're definitely
yeah,
taking advantage of it. And why the
yeah,
hell not, right? Why wouldn't you?
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, if I had the cash right now, I'd be traveling all over, definitely. So because I've got the
No, I'm looking
time.
for. We'll have to plan another overseas trip together at some stage, man. When you're
Yeah.
capable, you choose where you want to go, and we'll make it happen.
Yep. Well, well, Joe and I have been talking about doing an Australia trip here in the next couple of
Yeah,
years. We're
yeah,
trying to figure that out, but we'll have to see
yeah.
how economies and things like that are going, in the next
Yeah.
couple of years. So,
See what happens.
yeah,
Might be a
because
no American
you
policy in
might be
every
able to come
country but
here for
yours.
like 30 cents. Who knows? But we'll
That'd be
see.
nice.
Yeah,
When I
it
got
would be,
married
wouldn't it?
over there,
What's that?
so just when I got married in the US, it was 2014. So we
Mm-hmm.
paid. I was getting $1.05 because your dollar had shit itself back then, 13,
Yeah.
14. I was getting $1.05. Now I'm getting 63 cents. So
Little more expensive. Yeah.
people go, that wedding must have cost you a fortune. We had what, 70 people, Mickey and Minnie. We got married in Epcot.
Yep. Coral
Um,
Reef.
cost me
Yep.
cost me 30,000 Australian. It's the cheapest, and we had 30 Aussies fly over, and it was just amazing. But yeah, couldn't do it now. It'd be bloody $100,000 wedding just about.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Your wedding was awesome, except for Illuminations.
you had no problem drinking all the Grey Goose
There it
slushies though,
is.
did you?
There it is. I knew it
Yeah.
was coming.
We'll pay me back. No, don't worry about it, mate. It's on the house.
Keeping track, right? That dinner I owe you from Helsinki that
That's right. When he lost his wallet,
you offered to pay for, and then told me I owed you for the next like 4 years. So
it won't accept it. Yeah.
that's a classic Steve move. Let you know what you owe him when he's treating you to something. So it's
Just you.
is it just me? Perfect.
You're the only one that loses. You're the only one that loses their wallet on every trip.
I do have an issue with that, but yeah, lost it in Finland.
On the train.
Lost it in Sweden, but I got it back that night, at least.
Yeah.
That was the one. Like Finland was rough, but we had like 3 days of the trip left, not even.
So with a big group,
and I knew enough people where you guys are like, it's cool, we'll cover you. Like where the one in Sweden in 2016, I went to Leesburg by myself to start the trip for a couple days, and I left my wallet in a cab as I was getting to my hotel. And as the cab was driving away, I realized my wallet was still in it.
No.
And my receipt was all in Swedish. The only person I've ever met in Sweden in the 2 times I've been there that didn't speak English was that cab driver. So I was freaking out about that. And then luckily the concierge at my hotel was amazing. Like I was like, all I have is this receipt. She actually tracked him down. The guy brought the wallet back. I gave him a big hug like in the middle of the road. But I was having a panic attack that day because we had like 23 more days in Europe. And I'm like, I don't have my ID. I had my passport still, but like no money, no cards. That's great. Great start to a trip.
That's the trip where me and Priscilla didn't get our bags till like day 16 of 23.
That's right. I forgot about that because you had to go buy clothes. Well, and like you were a bigger guy then. So it was like it wasn't exactly easy in Europe to find. Like, luckily they had like a big and tall store. I remember.
Yeah, well, we got through it. Yeah. So that's the only time it's ever happened. All my travel. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't your fault. Not like mine, where I'm the one leaving the wallet somewhere. But I have a bit of an issue with that. I don't know what it is. Now it's connected to my phone, and I haven't had any issues since I do that. Because I've never lost a phone.
So park-wise, that'd be that's my plans coming up. And I want to do South Korea. I haven't been back to the UK since '98, so that's another trip.
That's like my bucket list for parks. Because I've done. I did London when I was like 17 on this high school trip I did. But we didn't do any parks, and I haven't been back. And like Alton Towers is a park I wanted to go to since like 1993 when I first found out about it. So I mean that's probably my biggest bucket list park in the world. But UK is
Blackpool.
Yeah,
I want to go to Blackpool. I walked through Blackpool in '98. We were there at night time. It wasn't open. It was off season, and it looked really fun. Yeah. So maybe we'll do a UK trip.
I like the look of Blackpool. That kind of old seaside, like kind of
the old Alice
like a boardwalk park here in like Jersey or something. Just to a bigger
it's got those
scale.
Little dark roads. You got Wallace and Gromit. You got Alice in Wonderland.
You
got some cool little dark rides. You got your steeplechase. You can get on a steeplechase.
And Pepsi that's Big the other Max thing or whatever it's called now. And then like I've always heard Valhalla's the like wettest ride on the planet. But it's really cool.
Speaking of rides, so Knott's Berry in '98 when I returned, me and my brother got to ride the Windjammer.
Oh,
that was the new ride when I was there in '98.
We actually rode a disaster that thing was.
Me and my brother, I remember riding it with him, and we're like, that was a really strange and shitty coaster at the time. But and then all those years later, it's gone.
Well, because that replaced Soapbox.
Yes, it did.
Right. Yeah, because I remember. So I used to read Wrecked Out Roller Coaster.
The news groups.
News groups pre-web, like message boards, and I remember hearing about Windjammer, and I'd never been to Knott's, and like the locals were just irate that they were tearing out, soapbox racers, because this is like the mid 90s or whatever. So I
Yeah,
don't
I was
even
at
know what
98.
I don't even know, like, I didn't even know what the soapbox racers were back then. You couldn't find stuff on the internet easily like that.
Yeah.
But I just remember hearing about this awful Windjammer ride for so many years. And then, like, I finally saw a picture of it and I was like, the heck is that thing? Because it wasn't big. Like, it didn't do anything crazy. Because it was like a dueling, like, weren't you supposed to be like parasailing? Like, what? It was such a
Surfing. I
strange
think we were
ride.
surfing. Yeah, it was shit. It really
Yeah,
was shit. Yeah, yeah.
that's
It wasn't
crazy.
good
I
at
don't
all.
think I don't hear Windjammer come up too often on rides
Yeah. I
anymore.
tell my brother, I say, mate, that's a bit of a rare credit, the
That is
Windjammer.
a
A lot
rare
of people
credit
have got that.
because it wasn't
Yeah,
open that
yeah.
long. It was
No,
only
yeah.
2 or 3 years, I think. So
Yeah, so I
yeah,
was there in 98, it would have been July, August. So yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm curious. I do want to know because I just remember that was one of the biggest flops ever. Windjammer surf racers. Yeah,
Yeah.
97 to
Yeah.
2000, 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know how often it was running in those 3 years either.
That's the thing too. I had a lot of downtime, I
Yeah.
remember, but they spent $6 million on it back then. That's a lot of money
Yeah.
in
I think they came
1997.
to an agreement with some sort of money back. Yeah, not sure what happened.
Oh yeah, that was a Togo.
Yeah.
Wow. These tiny
Which
little
we've ridden a lot
boats.
of
What a
Togos in
weird ride.
Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not good. So
Yeah. I love how if you ride a Togo in Japan, it's like, oh, it's a Togo. One in America, not shit. It gets
they're
ripped
the
out, you know.
worst. Yeah. I don't even
Yeah.
know if there are any Togos left. I feel like those stand-ups were the last.
Just the ones in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the King Cobra at like King's Island and King's Dominion were like the last two Togos, but oh well. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's take another break, and then we'll come back, and we'll probably wrap things up here and say goodbye. But this is Coasting with Giants. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Coasting with Giants. I'm Thad the Theme Park Giant, talking to my good buddy Aussie Steve, all about roller coasters and I guess his life kind of after roller coasters with a stroke and things like that. But just catching up, having a good chat. So let's talk a little about. Well, you said you had some fun stories from some trips
Yeah, I've got some of
you
them I
wanted to
probably can't
share.
tell, but I'll give you two. I'll give you two, maybe three. So 1999, fly to Toledo, catch up with my boy. This is after E3, hanging out with Jace. Done Cedar Point, like we're to Kings Island. All right. So planned it all, drove the 3.5 hours to Kings Island. It was closed. It was that Wally World moment. Car park was empty.
Oh no.
So I went to Dave and Buster's for the day, got over it, thought, all right, suck it up. Next year, 2000, back again, boom. All right, let's go to Kings Island. Yeah, it's open. Walking through, metal detector goes off. Had a marijuana pipe in the bag. So we're like, and Jason's like, don't say anything. And I'm like, man, this is just going to get kicked out of the park. So they have like their in-park security. This lady goes, come with me. And, you've met Jason. He's a good talker. He can talk his way out of anything. So we had to go and sit in this like fake police station. It was just like Wally World, the fake cops, And we were in there for like 20 minutes.
You got
And
John
Jason
Candy
managed.
pulling you into the office.
Yeah. So and Jason managed to talk. Said that we lent the bag to a friend last week, and he must have had the pipe in his bag.
Oh my
And
god!
yeah,
Always,
we got
always the worst excuse.
yeah.
My friend did
And he's
it.
like, and he's telling her the story. Oh, we were here last year, and it was like closed. And my friend traveled all the way from Australia, and she was lovely, and we had a great day. So,
That's funny.
and my other, we've had some alcohol-fueled stories together
I
in
will
Europe and
say,
stuff.
you being Australian, you get away with a lot
Yeah,
because of your
yeah,
accent, and
yeah.
like I feel like you can just start talking and people are like, "Oh, where are you from?" And they'll forget that you just like ran 4 people over with a car or something. Like it
That's right.
just the Australian accent always works for some reason.
Yeah. So, 99, I was in Florida, Tampa. I was 20 years old, hanging out with my friends, and Islands Adventure just soft opened.
Mm.
So this is like May 99. Jeff had a pass, my friend Rob, my friend John, my friend Long John Rosa had a pass. And Rob goes, "Here, take my pass." Back then, it was just a plastic card with a really
Mm-hmm.
poor digital scan photo. Look, nothing like me.
Yep.
It's this day's like melting. It was hot. Get in the park, flashing the thing. Yep, got in. Mate John goes, "I've got some LSD. Do you want to take a trip?" Who am I to say no on a, I'm not going to say no. I'm 20. I'm into that stuff. So we dropped this LSD, dropped this acid. The park's empty. This is amazing. Like, I'm in this brand new theme park. Hasn't opened to the world yet. The only thing that wasn't running was Bluto's
Oh, Bill
raft.
Jets.
What? Yeah, but everything else was running. So we've got this park to ourselves. About 2 hours in, my trip's really starting to peak, and I'm standing in line with Jeff and to get on the Dudley Do Rights, and I'm literally melting from the heat, and everything I'm looking at's melting as it does when you're tripping. We get on Dudley Do Rights, and this is back when the boats were open. You
Yep.
didn't have those terrible.
Yeah,
It was a
originally
proper
there was no
flume ride.
restraint, and then they put the worst
Yeah,
restraints on the planet on those
yeah,
things.
yeah. So 99, that was peak flume. Still is, in my opinion.
Oh
But
yeah.
this LSD kicks in. We're peaking on Dudley Do Rights, in hysterics, crying, rolling around in
Oh
this
my
flume
god.
ride, being drenched, and I don't remember much of that day, but it was probably the most epic Islands of Adventure day I've ever had. Thank you, Long John Rosa. I hope you're doing well. The reason it's called Long John Rosa, he's Puerto Rican. He's literally got
What?
so.
Why are we talking about this? What are we doing?
I'm having yeah, and just great memories, and yeah, and I'm still friends with all these guys. That was 26 years ago. So yeah, so there's a couple funny stories. There's been others that I'm alcohol, which I'm not proud of, but we'll go have a good time
Oh
when we're
yeah.
drinking at parks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I used to throw them back, and definitely.
yeah,
Well, and like we talked when we were at Leesburg. I mean, we drank a lot that day, and we ate edibles. I mean, because I
yeah,
remember that lunch. Remember that lunch we had there? Like they had a big presentation or whatever, and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I couldn't tell you one thing that happened at that. Like I just remember trying to act as normal as possible so people wouldn't realize how messed up
yeah,
we were because we were
yeah,
laughing like so hard at everything and everybody's like
yeah.
what's up with you guys and it was like
Yeah.
and
They were, they were,
drugs
they were
drugs were
hard
not allowed on
candies.
that trip, we could have been sent home or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's just like man
But they
we
were hard
are
candies, which
yeah.
our friend JC gave us. And look, I just want to say hi to
I
JC. I
have the
hope you're doing well,
chocolate I
bro.
remember,
Yeah.
but
JC had a stroke as well. He's in his 70s.
yep.
Lovely guy. And JC, I hope you're doing okay, brother. I know you're in San Fran. Yeah, still thinking of you, man. And
Yeah,
I know
he's
his
like
coasting days are over. I haven't
he's
seen him
ranked
since.
around 2,000 credits or so. He was one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
top guys in the world. Yeah. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
to know JC as time went on, and I did really,
Yeah.
like him. He was a good guy.
He's just an old hippie from San Fran.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Just
Yeah.
an old hippie that is a credit whore. And
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
But I always think of one of my favorite stories with you, the two of us, was at Europa when they had height limits. They had a height limit on, is it Eurosat? I never
Yeah.
remember if it's Euromir or Eurosat, but whichever one goes
Yeah.
indoors. But there was a 6'4" height limit, and I'm like, with shoes on, I'm 6'5". Like I'm
Yeah.
over 6'4" without shoes. So like, but most places you see a height max and whatever, but they actually had a bar at the front entrance to the queue that you had to walk under.
Yeah.
And so
And a guy said,
we were trying to figure out like, well, how, and there was a guy right there like watching, and it's Germany, so the rules are black and white there. Like there's no like, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm close, And so we were trying to figure out, how am I going to get on this ride? And Steve, and this is where the accent comes in, but you took the park map because it was still like the big paper park map, and you just went up to the guy and you're like, hey mate, and covered his face with the map, and you're just, hey mate, I don't know where we are, what ride is this, blah 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 blah. And while you're doing that, we all go so I can duck my head under the bar because I'm like a half inch too tall or whatever. And then so we're thinking about, oh, we outsmarted him or whatever. And then there was another one before you went in the building. So we waited like 45 minutes, and then there was another height check. So you did it again to the guy, and you even did the like, hey, what ride is this? Like, just the dumbest possible thing a tourist could like. We've been in line for 45 minutes on a ride, and you're sticking a map in the guy's face going, what ride is this? Where are we? And I mean, he's seen a lot of stupid tourists, so he's like, oh, this guy really doesn't know where. And so I ducked by again, and just, oh my God. That's the one I always think of, that you ran, interference for me so I could get a credit on something that and I hit my hands on
I was gonna say,
the rocks if you got, or something, I remember. So it was like, yeah, the height requirement was for a reason.
If you got decapitated, I would have felt a little bit bad at the end. I think.
But hey, I got the credit, so
exactly. Yeah,
that's all that matters. Yeah, that's that story, and I already told the El Toro story about you coming out and you're like, hey, I gotta pee, but I'll be right back, and that was that's what got our friendship going, and but well, awesome, man. It was awesome to have you on. Awesome to catch up. Awesome. I know we're in a Facebook Messenger group where we chat all the time, but we don't actually talk or do video or anything. So
thanks for having me on, Thad.
Man.
Just want to finish with, look, we're living in this world at the moment that's so divided. And you know what? It doesn't matter what color, what religion we are. We've all got love in our heart, and I think we just need to get back to. I was at a Flaming Lips concert a few weeks ago on Main Point and said, just tell your friends that you love them. So I just wanted to say, Thad, I love you, brother. I'm glad you're in my life. I've got some great memories. We're going to make some more. And I know things are looking pretty bleak around the world, but you know what? We're all capable of loving each other, and just spread that love, and just be happy that we're in this wonderful world and we get to do these amazing things together.
Absolutely, man. Well, I love you too, and I've always considered you, like one of my, I always say 2-week friends or whatever. You're one of my best 2-week friends, but like it's spilled past, just 2-week friends at this point. We've known each other for 13 years, and I've traveled with you more than probably anybody outside of like my family. So it's, we've had a lot of good times together. We're gonna have a lot more good times, especially with me being here in Florida now. I know you'll always be coming, to Orlando, and I know I'll see you. But and Joe and I are talking about coming to Australia here, hopefully in the next couple years, to see you guys. So but definitely, I love you too, man. That was a good message. I think that is good. Just tell your friends you love them, because
exactly,
it's really all that matters.
Keep it green, keep it green, keep it metal, all the time, man.
All right, man. Well,
peace out.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Steve. I enjoyed it. Hopefully everyone else enjoyed it. That's going to do it for episode 3 of Coasting with Giants. I am Thad, the theme park giant. This is Aussie Steve, my good friend, all the way from Adelaide, chiming in. And make sure. Oh, and there's Patrick. And there's Barkley. Barkley's passed out. She's not as interested. It's late. It's almost bedtime here. So, but yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah.
Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. The podcast goes out on, all the other, Apple, Spotify, all that. So if you're not watching on YouTube, hopefully you're listening there, or check it out on YouTube if you're listening to it. So yeah, that's going to do it for episode 3 of Coasting with Giants. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Coasting with Giants with Thad the Theme Park Giant. For more coaster and theme park content, make sure you're following me at Theme Park Giant on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.